Hi everyone, and welcome back to our beautiful community where we are going to learn and have fun, right? I believe in that, and you should also believe in that too. So let's continue with the previous lesson. We started with the simple present tense. We were talking about the first tense in English. We started with the present tense. So if you remember, as I have told you, we have three different tenses in English. The first one is the present tense, if we are talking about actions that are happening right now at the moment, or we have the past tense or the future tense. We started with the present tense and we were talking about the affirmative form of the simple present tense. So let's make a quick revision for the simple present tense. First of all, we use the simple present tense if we are talking about repeated actions or facts, things that you do every day, every year, every month, for example. Also, we use it when we are talking about facts. How do we form the simple present tense? If we have plural subject, I, we, you, they, we keep the verb as it is. We don't add anything to the verb. I work, we like, you do, they have. But if we have a singular subject like she, he, it, or any singular noun like Ahmad, like the boy, the cat, we need to add s or es or ies to the verb. Now, let's move to how can we form the negative form of the sentence in the simple present tense. The negative form means not. When we are talking about things that you don't do every day, for example, or things that she or he doesn't do every day. The rule says that we need to add either don't or doesn't before the base form of the verb, and that depends on the subject. So also we need to look at the subject of the sentence. If we have a plural subject or I, we, you, they, we add don't, then the base form of the verb. If we have a singular subject, she, he, it, we need to add doesn't, then the base form of the verb. So for example, I don't work every day. We don't like to eat meat, for example. They don't have any homework, for example. So if we want to change the sentence into the negative form with the plural nouns or I, you, we, they, we need to add don't. With she, he, it, we need to add doesn't. She doesn't work every day. He doesn't like to swim, for example. Please, you need to make sure that after don't and doesn't, the verb must be in the base form of the verb, which means verb 1. So, if we want to change the sentence into the negative form, we need to add either don't or doesn't. We need to look at the subject of the sentence. We, they, you, I, plural subject, we add don't. She, he, it, singular subject, we add doesn't to the sentence. So now try to change as many sentences in the affirmative form to the negative one. For example, she smiles all the time. She doesn't smile. Be sure that the verb after doesn't must be in the base form. They smile all the time. They don't smile because does not or don't depends on the subject of the sentence. So, doesn't or don't, you need to look at the subject of the sentence. Now, the last thing that we are going to talk about in the simple present tense is how do we form the yes or no questions in the simple present tense? Now, we all know that questions in English, there are two forms of questions in English. We have the yes or no questions and the WH questions. Yes or no questions, specifically, the answer for these questions are yes or no. Like, for example, do you wake up early every day? Does she wake up early every day? So if we want to make the yes or no question in the simple present tense, also we need to look at the subject of the sentence, because usually the yes or no questions, they start with do or does according to the subject of the sentence. So if I have the subjects I, you, we, they, or any plural noun, we start the yes or no question with do. Do they, then the subject, then the base form of the verb. So for example, do they cook every morning? For example, do they cook every morning? We started the question with do because we're talking about the subject they. Okay, for example, do you drive every morning? So according to the subject, you need to start the question with do or does. After the subject, we need to have the base form of the verb. So for example, if I have a singular subject like she, he, it, we need to start the question with does. Does she drive every morning? Make sure that after the subject, we need to have the base form of the verb because we started the question with do or does. So do they exercise every morning? For example, yes, they do, or no, they don't exercise every morning. Does she drive every morning? Yes, she drives every morning, or no, she doesn't drive every morning. So you need to make sure and you need to look at the subject to decide whether to use do or does to start your yes or no question in the simple present tense. So for example, does she study every morning? We started the question with does because we're asking about she, singular subject. Now the answer typically is going to be yes or no. If we are talking about the affirmative, which is yes, you need to remember the rules of how can we form the sentence in the simple present tense. So yes, she. Do we say yes, she study? Or yes, she studies? Or yes, she studies every morning? So you need to remember that if I am talking in the affirmative sentence with she, he, it, or any singular noun, we need to add s or es or ies to the verb. According to the verb study, it ends with y. Before the y, we have a consonant, so the correct answer will be studies every morning because we have the singular subject, which is she, and the verb ends with y, and before the y we have a consonant here. So yes, she studies every morning. We don't say yes, she study because this is the simple present tense. While in the negative form, if we want to say no, she, remember, how do we form the negative form? We need to add either don't or doesn't. Because we have the singular subject, which is she, so we need to add doesn't. After doesn't, the verb must be the base form of the verb. So do we say no, she doesn't studies, or no, she doesn't study? Yes, no, she doesn't study, because we need to keep the verb as it is, the base form of the verb after doesn't. The second example, for example, does he drive every morning? We started the question with does because we have a singular subject, which is he. And remember, the verb must be verb 1 because we started the question with does, right? Now, typically the answer is going to be yes or no. If the answer is yes, so we are having an affirmative sentence in the simple present tense. That means that we need to look at the subject because we have a singular subject here, which is he. So yes, he. Do we say yes, he drive? Yes, he drives, or drives is? No. Because we have the singular subject, which is he, so we need to add s or es or ies to the verb. When we have the verb drive, it's typically yes, he drives every morning. When the answer is no, the negative form, no, because we have a singular subject, which is he, so we need to add doesn't. No, he doesn't. After doesn't, the verb must be verb 1, so no, he doesn't drive every morning. The second example, Do they travel every year? We started the question with do because we're asking about they. They is a plural subject, right? Remember, the verb must be verb 1. So do they travel every year? The answer is yes or no. Yes, they travel or travels every year because we have the plural subject, which is they, I, you, we, they. So we need to keep the verb as it is. Do we add something to the verb? No. So yes, they travel every year. Or when we are talking about the negative form, no, they don't, because with they, we add don't to change the sentence into the negative. No, they don't travel, because after don't and doesn't, we need to have the base form of the verb. Thank you so much. See you soon. Please stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much.